Hello, and welcome to Consciousness at Play, where every episode leads you on a journey of self discovery. Join us as we delve into the philosophies, ideas, and events that shape our lives and bring us one step closer to inner peace. So, Dave, how's it going today?
It's going well. It's going well. It's beautiful weather up here. 40 degrees, sun's out, blue skies. Um, I'm feeling good about things, you know. Valentine's Day is coming up,
Yes, sir.
you know. I know people are super excited about that. So, but yeah, man, I'm chilling. How are you?
Good, man. It's like same. Beautiful weather. It's February, and surprisingly, yeah, we're experiencing like 50-degree weather. So, just taking that all in and being appreciative of it. And yeah, as you said, love is in the air. Love is in the air. So good vibes over here. But but yeah, man, I was speaking to you earlier this week, and one of the topics that I wanted to bring to the pod is manifesting. And I feel as though manifestation is one of these like new aged words that gets thrown around a lot, and it feels very like intangible. A lot of people have learned about this stuff by reading the book The Secret. Maybe they stumbled on a YouTube video by Abraham Hicks. And yeah, I just wanted to make it a little bit more grounded and tell a few personal anecdotal experiences in which I feel like I manifested something.
Let's do it.
And yeah, yeah. So this was a few years ago. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago, before the pandemic. I was working at a little hotel, and I was a concierge. And at that time, I think I was making around $16 an hour. And, for where I wanted to, where, how I wanted to live and the type of living that I wanted to experience, I knew that that wasn't going to cut it. I knew that I needed to make more money. And so, I'm just wrecking my brain for just different ways and how to move up in the world. And so I've been reading the book, No More Mr. Nice Guy. I think it's a book I shared with you. And in that book, I think I was at a point in the book where it was just talking about fears and, really testing yourself to see if these fears are valid things to sort of shy away from. And so I figured the best thing that I could do at that time, because we were having a little bit of movement within the concierge department, there was someone leaving, there was an opportunity for me to grow and step up. And so I used that. I parlayed that into trying to schedule a meeting with the general manager of the hotel. And, I started out by sending him an email, let him know. I was like, hey, Mr. B, I'd like to meet with you. Let me know when you have an opportunity. And it took a few days for him to like reply. And between those 2 days, I would see him come in and out of the hotel, go to his office. So it's like he's clearly active and present. It's not like he's on vacation. And so, I'm like, did he see my email? Did he not? I'm kind of hesitant like to bring it up. And so, I finally was like, okay, next time I see him, I'm gonna mention it to him. And so I see him come into the hotel, and I'm like, hey, Mr. B, did you get my email? And he's like, yeah, I did. He's like, I'm gonna go up to my office right now, and I should probably have you come up in the next 10, 15 minutes. So I was like, okay, cool, feeling good about myself. And so, I go take a seat, and I see about like 30 minutes later, I see him leave the hotel. And I'm just like,
Oh,
right. That kind of reaction, like, okay, not even an acknowledgement of like, hey, something came up, let's reschedule, the professional manner to kind of respond to things. And so I didn't get none of that. And I was just like, all right, that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And so in that moment, I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I don't think this job deserves me as an employee if I can't get the respect that I'm looking for, as a human being and as an employee. And so in that moment, yeah, I went on LinkedIn. I looked at a couple different jobs. I like changed my profile to like looking for a job. And it was a day later, Dave, that I received a random message from a job recruiter who happened to be looking for someone to take on a new position at a hotel. And the starting salary was around $50,000. And this was significantly more than what I was making. And so, at first I thought this was I thought this was like spam email. I thought it was like, some type of hoax or whatever. And so I followed it up, and lo and behold, it was an actual real thing. And yeah, it was so coincidental and synchronistic and ironic because the new hotel that I was, invited to interview at was a hotel that my parents worked at. And so it just felt like one of these things that came full circle, like this hotel was a block away from the old hotel that I was working at. And it was a hotel that I would pass by all the time, knowing that, my parents used to work there, not knowing when the hotel would open, not just looking into it whatsoever. It was a situation in which the opportunity came to me, although I wasn't like quite looking for it. And I feel when it comes to manifesting, people have this ideology, especially in the beginning when they're not used to it, that it's like you put an intention out there to the universe and you pray hard on it and you like think about it every day. And then like one day it'll just like, knock on the door and it's there. And it's not quite, the way it works, at least for me, and the way I've experienced things is you have to take an active step toward these things. And when you do, the universe will meet you in return. And it's not a matter of willing things into existence. It's a matter of like, moving with the ebbs and flows of life. And there's another situation that I kind of want to mention as well. It's when I had gotten fired from a hotel that I was working at, and I feel like it was unjustly so, but it is what it is. You know how they say when one door closes, another one opens. And so,
Hmm.
at that point in my life, I was like, all right, time to switch lanes. I don't want to be in hospitality anymore. I want to help people. I had gone through my own physical journey with like fitness and stuff. So I was like, I'm ready to be a personal trainer. And so I'm living at home, and you can be jobless, but like there's still things that are expected of you when you're living home. Like parents are not gonna be like, oh, don't worry, we got you. Well, at least my family wasn't like that. And so patience was running out with them. And they're just like, yo, what are you gonna do? You gotta work. Like you gotta, contribute to the house in some sort of way. And I'm like, nah, like I gotta be a personal trainer. Like I have my NASM book, bro. I'm studying this thing. And yeah, day in, day out, just relentlessly just hoping to get an opportunity where I'm able to work at a gym. And yeah, man, it was really random and coincidental, but my father, who I'm not very close with, and his side of the family not very close with at all, they actually reached out to me randomly one day, and they were like, "Hey, we have a friend who works at Equinox, one of the bigger gyms in the city, very prestigious, and they're like, if you're looking for a job, we can actually like get you one if you want." And it was so random because I'd never spoken to them about this. So it was just like the timing of things seemed to be so eerie and ironic that I was like, wow, this seems like one of those things where, you know, there was an intention that I held and I had been focusing and studying to like, accomplish this thing. And um yeah, I was met with an opportunity. And yeah, it's one of the things I've like learned to live my life in like that way in regards to not trying to make things happen, but sort of like feeling into things and you know setting my sights on what it is that I want to accomplish or reach, and um having the universe or life meet me with that opportunity. So
Nice.
yeah.
I love that though. I love that because when you're working towards something and you're using your energy, your life force to focus in on a subject or topic, you're sending out waves from your being into the universe. And you become, in my opinion, like in vibrational alignment or frequency alignment of whatever you're putting out there or you're focusing on. For you, is personal training or the new job opportunity. And I think that's awesome, that you're able to get yourself, especially because I mean, we live in capitalism, man. We think about ways to make money and to, do better for ourselves all the time. So that's cool. Um,
Yeah, I mean, it like have you come across like anyone in particular who is like sort of giving you an idea of how to manifest things or um have opportunities sort of sprout in life for you?
yeah, for
Or have you
sure.
experienced that yourself? at all?
Yeah, I have. Just multiple times, really.
Would you call it manifesting? Or do you call it something different?
Yeah, I'd say manifesting because sometimes, in my opinion, we manifest things unconsciously or just like through our habits or the things. For example, I would talk to my mom always like randomly, I'm gonna move to the Midwest when I was a kid growing up, or um, I love a lot of the music that came out of Chicago. There's even a band called Chicago who I was like, for like 4 years before I even moved up here, that was my one of my favorite artists. If you look at my top artists, I was listening to Title at the time. That would be the probably one through three. So I think just like subconsciously, we um we manifest things that we're into and we like. And for me, Chicago was one of them. Um, but yeah, I wish I had a great example queued up. I really don't. The Chicago one's cool. Yeah. I think I manifested my height. I can't hear you. But
I said, really?
yeah, I think so.
Why would you
Low
say
key.
that?
Cause my dad's 5'8", brother, my mom's 5'7". My other brothers aren't. None of them are 6 foot. Um, but I was like, I never thought I was gonna be anything but like NBA height. Like, I always thought in my mind I'd be a two guard growing up. And it's funny because once I hit my growth spurt in late high school, a lot of my old coaches or parents of teammates throughout the years, they're so surprised. Like, oh my goodness, we never expected you to have any type of height because we know your mom and dad.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know.
No, I
It's a
mean, I
lot.
think there's something to that. You're like the anomaly in your family when it comes to height.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also with manifesting, you have an idea, but like you said, you got to work towards it or put your energy towards that goal. And then kind of the universe fills in the gap. So, but that's why first you have to have a goal. Like I've said to you, probably in private and on the show, is like, for example, when I'm working with somebody, I make sure that they're clear on their dream or goal or objective and why they have that dream. So once you have the idea of what you want to be in the future, like a dream board, that body type you want, or the house, or the job, or whatever, then you just work towards those things. And when you're working towards those things, the universe will conspire with you and fill in those gaps, those details that we could never consciously, create really. So um, I think
For
it's
sure.
cool. I think it's important for people to think about those types of things because you're not just like, you know, it's just not luck. Everything isn't random. There's a rhythm and there's a pattern behind life, in my opinion. Um,
And one thing I would definitely point out too is that, like as you said before, you manifest the things you consciously want and things you subconsciously want. And I think what it comes down to is belief, right? If you have a belief in something, it's more likely to manifest because our subjective realities are determined upon how we see things. And so, it's like one of those things where you feel like sickness creeping in. I know there's some people who tell themselves, like, even though they may feel like slightly off, like I'm healthy, I'm well, and they'll focus on the things that'll sort of provide that for them, whether it's getting good sleep, you know what I mean, taking an extra dose of vitamin C, cleansing out their gut. And, there are a lot of situations where those people will end up not being as sick as someone who's like, oh man, yeah, I think I'm coming down with something. Oh man, I gotta slow it
I'm
down.
so tired.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, yeah. And somebody's like, oh, or like somebody's like, oh, you look a little off today. And you're like, yeah, man, I think I'm sick. I think I'm sick. You know what I mean? And you start to move in that direction. Your body like is like, okay, I guess we are sick.
You're speaking to yourselves. You're speaking to yourself. That's why that internal monologue, that monologue about the world, about your situation, I think, in my opinion, matters. And it's kind of hard to change. I've learned with myself and my experience around certain topics, it takes a lot of work to change those those uh, those beliefs that you may have had or you may have gotten growing up from your family, your friends, people close to you. you have to change that your beliefs around things because otherwise you're just gonna like continue to create. Because I feel like we all create things over and over again in our lives, whether it's our relationships, our financial situation, our physical situation. It's just mostly because of our beliefs about ourselves and what we deserve and what's actually possible and the potential we have. And for me, that's why I lead into things like affirmations. I try to like catch myself when I'm stinking thinking as they call it. You know, when I catch myself thinking, "Oh, woe is me. Oh, this sucks. I'm incapable of this. I'm incapable of that." Nipping that in the butt, and you know, even if it's cliche, just tell yourself you're good enough. You know, you're worthy. You're deserving. Be grateful for what you have, and understand that you deserve it, and you deserve more. Um,
Let
and I
me
think
ask you,
that's
I was gonna ask like what do you think about the idea like while you're trying to cultivate new beliefs and just examine how you look at things, what do you think about this idea of like sharing it with like close friends so that when these things do come up unconsciously and you say it out loud, someone within your circle sort of reminding you like, hey, like I remember you saying that you're trying to shift this way of thinking. Like, do you partake in anything like that, or do you believe in that kind of thing, sharing your new mindset and trying to ingrain it using people externally to help you reinforce it?
if it's a safe space, yes. You know, if you feel like you're not with somebody who's toxic, that will kind of like hold your feet to the fire in a negative way. But if it's a safe space, like I feel like I share things with you, share things with certain family members that I feel comfortable to do it with. Um, and I think that's important because then it amplifies whatever your intention is when other people are aware of it too. And then, like you said, they can potentially give you feedback, ask you how it's going, check in. So that's very helpful. And I think creating goals, even around your mindset and your psyche and your kind of common thought patterns, is a smart way to go about it. Um, because I think in order for certain things in your life to change, your belief system has to change. You know what I mean? You can't be somebody who's been sick, for example, for a decade, right? They've always been sick and then now they're cancerous and they just eventually that becomes your identity. And that identity has perks too, being sick. Your family and friends will always call and check up on you. People will do little things for you. Maybe if you live with them, they'll make your life easier. And they'll feel sorry for it. And then your doctors, your therapists, they become your friends, and like you kind of just like people come to a place where they enjoy or not enjoy, but they get comfortable in that being their identity. And I think shifting your beliefs is important. That's why I remember watching a lot of content from other Czech coaches before I even thought about doing what I'm trying to do and doing what I'm doing, is that somebody has to be ready to get better or to do whatever they came to you to do. Because sometimes people are just looking for a friend, somebody that will actually listen to them actively. Because a lot of people don't have that, and they might not be ready. I'm sure you experienced this at the gym. You
For
know,
sure.
plenty of people who weren't ready to actually change their bodies, but they just like the social aspect and um, the friend that came with hiring a trainer. So
To me, yeah, no, you bring up some really good points. To me, what I heard in that is like sort of the idea of committing to these new beliefs or the way of changing your life and reinforcement, and that it doesn't seem like it's going to happen overnight. For example, someone being sick for a decade and being comfortable or complacent in that identity. And so having, like you said, that safe space to help you reinforce those things. I think for me, journaling sometimes in terms of programming your mind, writing something repetitively over time can help begin to shift that way of thinking. And then you'll subconsciously start having the thought like, hey, I do welcome abundance. I do, deserve these things in my life. And so, yeah, reinforcement, it's a repetition. The beliefs are things that are ingrained in our heads because it's redundant. So shifting beliefs would take the same thing.
100%. And the more you ground yourself in a lot of the practices you have, the more access you have to make changes quicker. in my opinion, in my experience. Like for me, I've been focusing on abundance, right? Because I grew up in a household where I had ups and downs, you know what I mean? Ups and downs financially and kind of, we had great moments, we had subpar moments. But now I'm working on creating abundance. And when I tell you, man, I'm making the most money I've ever made in my life, uh, you know, I'm quite comfortable in what I'm doing. I don't feel that stress. And it's all from just programming myself. Because at a certain point, we're all going to understand all this technology that is computer based, we program it to do certain things. We're going to have to start programming ourselves with what we deem as important. Because at a certain point, like if you just think maybe from a different perspective, for example, when raising kids and you tell them not to do something, you're programming. You're programming. And that capability and the plasticity doesn't go away with your age. You still have the ability to program yourself, program your cells, program your metabolism, program
Neur-
your heart,
neuroplasticity. Look it up, guys.
neuro
This is what he's talking about.
neuroplasticity. That was an idea. Like when I was playing ball, what was it? Muscle memory, or that's a big one where that's why you practice a shot the same way over and over and over again. I love that. I always love that concept that I can shape. What shape shift mean before I use it incorrectly?
Well, I mean, shapeshift.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, the way I've heard shapeshifting is usually like when people are like not of, they're not humans and they shift their,
Okay, okay.
yeah, yeah,
They shift
yeah,
their shit. Okay,
yeah.
I'm saying like you can add attributes to yourself that you deem as worthy, or a good idea. And those attributes could be, oh, I want to learn how to shoot basketball 3 pointers with my left hand. That was something I was able to create within myself, not being right-handed, just practicing and using my mind in that way. Just like I think you can create abundance, you can create love, you can create security by focusing and honing in on those beliefs. And then once you have those ideas and you act upon them, I'm telling you, we're supported by the universe. All that shit just fills the fuck in. It's crazy. It's crazy. So
It is. It is. I mean, yeah, what you were saying sort of brought me to this idea that a friend of mine was sharing with me is in that like no matter how old you are, you still have the opportunity to pursue your dreams. Because there are a lot
mhm.
of people that I have the belief like, oh, my time came and went. I have kids now. I can't do anything. And if you believe, I remember E.T., the hip hop preacher, he says, or
Love
maybe he
ET.
took that from yeah, motivational speaker. He'll get the juices going for you. But it was something along the lines. He said it, he may have grabbed this from someone else, but he said he who says he can't and he who says he can are both usually right.
Yep.
So it's this like if you and man, this is why it's important to have a good environment, like you said, whether it's removing yourself in an environment where people do just believe that there's going to be ups and downs and you're going to have to go through hardships, and removing yourself from that environment and cultivating your own environment and belief system that is more in alignment with how you see yourself living is so important. Because sometimes we need that external. I mean, that external stuff matters just as much as the internal stuff. So if you can have everything in alignment, like as Dave was saying, things progress a whole lot quicker. Things just sort of merge and the resonance, you'll track these things into your life. Believe it or not, guys, like this is my experience. And once again, comes down to belief. You may not believe in it, but I'm telling you, if you shift your perspective, if you change it just a bit, you'll start to see the abundance in little places. You'll start to see these things. I'm telling you, like wherever you focus your attention is where energy flows. And so,
And I'm telling you, bro, when you tap in, you'll find yourself surrounded by beautiful people that are conscious in the way you're conscious, whatever you're into. You know what I mean? Whether it's sports, whether it's spirituality, whether it's
health and
religion,
yep.
all those things, health and wellness, you'll find those people around you. But like for me, one thing I noticed for myself last year, I had certain belief systems that weren't serving me. And um it blocked some blessings. So
Let me ask you, how did you come upon those? How did you notice it? Those belief things,
just
the beliefs that wasn't serving you.
the patterns, the experiences that just seem to be almost like deja vu. Um, and after a while, you just got to take responsibility of such experiences and events and situations and circumstances and say, hey, 10 toes down, brother.
Hmm.
This is on me. This is my responsibility to fix. So I'm going to affirm it before bed, when I wake up, when I'm going through my things, and I'm going to shift this shit.
So you're not a victim. You actually have a part in this perpetual negative pattern.
You have to, yes, bro, because you have to integrate all parts of yourself. So you kind of got to acknowledge, hey, I got a hiccup in this part of my belief system, and I got to work towards it. Take in content, do the practices, do the journaling, do the affirmations, the mantras, whatever it takes to shift into what you want. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to feel like a victim. And then you're just going to attract other people that feel like victims, and then you're going to have kids and create new victims, and then you're going to go onto your community and connect with other people who are victims, and you're just going to create this glass house of I'm not good enough, people that look like me isn't aren't good enough, we've never been anything in our family, though all those things that people say that are just from their belief systems and could be shifted. Um but it's one step at a time. What's one step that you would recommend to somebody who knows they have a hiccup in the way they view relationships, financial, what's possible for them, and they feel stuck in the job? What would be a practice they can get to a 9 to 5 or to begin the process? Because I know you got a good stuff for the psyche.
Um, yeah, I think what you just mentioned is, and what we were just talking about is huge in terms of reframing things, right? So things are happening to you, right? But you are a part of that situation. You have a hand in that. And so um just spending some time thinking about it, right? Mulling it over, like, okay, let's use a relationship, for example, right? Like I keep attracting fuck boys. You know, why? What is it about me? Am I a victim? That I think the victim mentality to me is the one of the biggest culprits. A lot of people feel like it's happening to them. There's nothing that they can do. And so they're just hoping that it changes one day. And I feel like that's such an immature way of looking at things. As I said before, when I was a kid, I would sometimes pray that like I would lose weight, pray that I would get in shape. Just one day I would wake up and, oh, these muscles are coming in, like that's not the way it works. You have to actually take active steps towards these things, And so
But that
um
prayer was the first step, though, right?
the prayer was the
Look at
first
you
step.
now.
The prayer was the first step, but it needed other things in the recipe in order for it
Yeah.
to cultivate. And so, like, hey, God, help me find a good man, right? So I'm gonna embody values that make me attractive to a good man, and I'm going to maybe cut out going to the bar to meet men, the nightclubs, maybe I'm gonna like go to that book reading that my homegirl is inviting me to. I'm gonna,
Go to a community event, go to
yeah, spend
church,
some time in the
whatever.
park. Yeah, open up a conversation with somebody on a train who, looks like they're reading a good book. And then you'll find yourself having opportunities where people's like, yo, there's this guy at my job, and I'm taking girls, so like, why don't you see, I'll hook you guys up. I'm dreaming up things right now, but that's the way life works. As you said, bro, life will fill in the blank where you can't imagine, like, oh, I didn't think this would ever happen to me. Life's like, I got a surprise for you. Little do you know. Um, so
Little do
yeah,
you know,
man.
you're co-collaborating with this guy in South Dakota, and he's just gonna happen to be visiting in your city. Boom. You know what I mean? Life is magical that way, but it's not even just within it's global. But then it's deeper than global. Take some shrooms. You're gonna see the trees communicating with you. You're gonna see the little squirrels. So it's that collective consciousness, and this is part of the why we started doing this, because we see the beauty and the interconnectedness of all of this. And um yeah, man. And that's a good point, because a lot of people, we're so blessed here in the States that a lot of content people put out is I can't find, relationships. We're not worried about food, you know what I mean? We're not worried about, financially. For the most part, people are at least okay, obviously the middle class in America, blah, blah, blah. But everybody's focused on relationships. And it's kind of annoying me a little bit because all the content and stuff, that's just put on me,
But yeah,
which is
but there's so much to do with before like finding a relationship. There's so much work that can, right? Right or wrong?
no, but really though, if you want a wholesome man, you be a wholesome woman. You know, straight like that, straight like that.
But there's this mentality of like, I deserve this, I deserve that, but no internal evaluation whatsoever. It's like, cause I'm entitled, like, cause, period.
Because I look like
That's another
this.
one, period.
Period. Period is that.
Right? I don't need to
Yeah.
justify myself, period. Like, this is what I
But
want. Yeah, sure. But like, let's see how long it takes you to get that.
you gotta have it. You gotta be energetic. You gotta be able to resonate with somebody who is like that. And for myself, I've learned like I gotta be able to resonate with the types of women I want in my life. You gotta be straight like that. And it's a level of responsibility I think all adults partaking in relationships need to, especially in the style we have now. It'd be easier if we had like, arranged marriages where, you didn't have to go through all this creation of but I'm not behind that. I'm just saying the idea of it. I don't think I'd be comfortable with the arranged marriage. But that's just me though. It works for some.
It does. It
Yeah,
does.
especially, I saw Indian matchmaking and those grown-ups were they were into it. They're like, hey, find me a spouse that you think we'd be a good match. I remember moving into this apartment, and that was like the only thing like at first I put on Netflix. Uh, sorry for banging my desk because I know you heard that.
No, you're
Shit
good.
shockwaves, but
Yeah.
but yeah, man. Uh, yeah. So tap in, people. Tap in. That's why journaling is so important. Take understand the events of your year or of your life and integrate that into who you are. I came across something on the internet. I forgot where or what it was, but once you're able to all those things that you experience throughout your life with your mom and your dad, especially good or bad, if you're able to accept everything that's happened to you as deep and dark or as light and amazing as it was, that's the only way you're going to be able to actually not repeat things in your life and actually feel comfortable in your masculine and your feminine or in just like who you are. Um, because the more you push away from those experiences and try to like, you know, act like they didn't happen, the more they're gonna stem up in your relationships when you're dating or because I had an experience recently. I was talking to this girl and she was explaining to me like her upbringing, and then you can kind of tell that there's that way of moving within interpersonal relationships is still there. And I'm like, you know, this is a great case study for, for this idea. Um, but yeah, man, yeah, that's my
Yeah.
spiel.
I feel you. I feel you. I mean, these things are important, especially when it comes to sharing close space and with someone else. If you imagine them being a part of your lives, you need to know their thinking, yeah, their way of being, and yeah, seeing if that resonates with you.
Their
Definitely.
attachment styles,
Right. Right. No, 100%. I mean, yeah, I don't know how people date, but yeah, for me, it's a little bit more intricate. It's a little bit more than the superficial. We gotta go deep layers. Gotta.
Yeah, yeah. I've been thinking I just need to be out the way. I've been like having this motivation, which feels great. To just be like on my dolo, just like
Hyper focus. Right.
hyper focused on David and David like just coming up. But it's been very organic. This feeling lately. Maybe it's conversations with you. Maybe there's something in the air. Maybe I should look at the pattern app and see what's really going on. But yeah,
Yeah, man. Yeah, I feel like we really got into a good groove this episode. Feel like people were able to take away some tangible things when it comes to manifesting. Hopefully it's a little bit more grounded in reality. You guys got some practical things that
some
you could
examples.
yeah, implement into your life. And yeah, man, we'll continue to talk about the things that we find important. I just want to remind everyone that like our objective, our aim is to guide your consciousness toward aspects of reality that are worth contemplating. And so,
Hmm.
um, yeah, man, if you guys are able to take anything away from this video, we hope it was that. So thanks again, guys, for listening to Consciousness at Play, and we will see you guys next week.